Music intervention. Maybe you haven't heard of this term before. Intervention is sometimes an aggressive word and a word that's not necessarily friendly to gentle persuasion. But music intervention is a term that I am putting together rather uniquely out of the idea that music can interrupt your brain patterns. We all have neural circuits. These are called monkey thoughts or uh, impulsive thinking. There are circuits of thinking that repeat itself over and over again and can be our master or servant. But when it comes to music, they also form music neuron circuits. The most simple one that you might recognize very simply is the alphabet A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's actually a neural circuit. Each brain cell is connected to the next that goes to the next and the next until you finish the alphabet song. So, music can actually be an agent by intention. If you are intending to use music as a tool and therefore you're aware of it, metacognition, thinking about thinking, then you can now imply that my mind is now going to be within my control, both thinking about it, but then also using music as an agent to impact my behavior. More positivity. Any athlete will tell you if they have workout songs. There's no question that a marathon runner or a triathlon uh, athlete, they're going to perform 20 to 25% better than they do without music. It helps to pace them, it gives them energy, gives them focus, and it takes their mind off of pain, the law of displacement. So, music can be an intervention agent in many respects. One of the most powerful ones that I'm going to share with you at some point is on other videos is simply music intervention for seniors with Alzheimer's or dementia. And this music again can reawaken the music circuits and bring it back from your childhood. Anybody who has watched the video from neurologist Oliver Sacks, he wrote a book called Musicphilia, and he also did a documentary on Netflix called Alive Inside. And in that, there's a gentleman from someplace in Chicago. His name is Henry. He has been comatose for a good 2 years living in this nursing home. Yet, when the personal support worker puts on an iPod and puts the headphones in his ears, they select a very, very important piece of music by a jazz musician called Cab Calloway. And this was the man Henry's favorite artist. And so the moment the headphones go on his ears, he springs to life, he comes alive, and indeed he starts to sing the words, but it spreads far further than that. He starts to have a conversation with the personal support worker. The gentleman from the documentary, probably, I think it's Oliver Sacks, but he's off the camera, starts asking Henry questions and he starts to reply. A little bit of him comes back to life. And for anybody who's dealt with dementia patients on the decline, this is nothing short of a miracle. We haven't explored maybe 5% of the potential of using a music as an intervention agent in our lives. And so there's been many, many volumes of research here, there, and everywhere, but the public at large is still in the dark when it comes to the possible inclusion by intention of music in our lives. When we do that, it's really an intervention. And that's why I use the term music intervention. It's intervening in what may be habitual negative thoughts or just habitual daydream thoughts. 95% of the thoughts we think in a day are the same ones we had yesterday. And so music by a program aspect, which means you intentionally use music at different times of the day, different times of the week, not just turn on the radio and then you're at the whim of whatever song is coming, which is fine. I certainly lived a lot of my life like that as well. But by the same token, time is too short today. And so therefore, I feel that when we use music by intention, like a wake up song, and it may be the same one every day if there's one that just kickstarts your life, or it could be a selection of one each day of the week. That music, a positive song, will set the tone for the day, right? It'll set the tone for the day. And so when you think about music, you can add it to all aspects of your life. And without exception, that music can be very, very powerful in maintaining your control of thought patterns, because we have too many negatives in our life vis-a-vis being hijacked with our minds and smartphones. So music intervention is simply basically saying our mind will go wherever it wants if you allow it to. It's called mind wandering, and there's the right time and place for that. But however, for most creatures of habit in our world today, it's far too often, far too much of our lives. So the actual reality is we just have to be awareness. It's not that there shouldn't be time for other things. Of course, that's called life balance. But by the same token, if you can incorporate music at all aspects of your life, just go back to the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, whistle while you work, right? Very, very old concept, but the work becomes smoother, the work becomes easier, it seems faster, passes quickly, and at the same time, it's like you're a little bit happier, and therefore you're not choosing to look at ho-hum, life is a drab and work is hard and I don't like to work and I'm going to dwell on this. Again, it's a question of choices, right? We have the positive path and the negative path. The positive path will be exponentially enhanced by the use of music in general. All music is pretty good. And having said that, you can up the game a whole lot by selecting very good positive music, especially if it's a genre and style of music that's personal to you and it's a preference that you specifically enjoy, or your favorite songs. So as I say, there's many in my life. A good example would be Bon Jovi and It's My Life. You put that song and I'm going to bike faster, swim faster, and just be in a much, much higher spirit. So there's a perfect example. It's My Life by Bon Jovi. If you play it and you feel bored and you feel like sleeping, well, I think you have other problems. So think about music and how it plays a role in our life. I think one of the things that has gone on far too long in society in general is the value of things like business and important subjects, and it includes economy and could be war, making arms, etc., and the arts. STEM. STEM is good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not on a conquest against STEM, but you talk to some people and STEM is 90% of what we should learn in the school system. And then sports and the arts and music, less than 10%. Mr. Holland's Opus, a great film based on the closing of a music program. And that's a topic for a whole nother video you could get me going on that would just drive me crazy, because it's foolish. It's in certain cultures, the African American, it's a bigger part of their life than anything else, and you take music away from the program and you wonder why they don't go to school. So again, think about music as a role, music as a part of our life, and how it impacts us, and think about the fact that it's maybe needs to be much higher, because it affects our health, it affects our thinking, it affects our happiness, and affects our productivity. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, having happier, more enjoyable lives that we can use music to live longer, be happier, and make the world a better place. We call it music intervention. But of course, you know it as just listening to music. Listening to music with intention, music intervention. See you on the other side.